Today, we have a very special science experiment to do. I have in front of me a tub of water. I also have different objects with me, like a rock and a sponge. What do you think we're going to do today? We are going to see if the objects will sink or float. We're going to make predictions, which predictions are like guesses. And we're going to look at different objects and predict or guess if it will sink or if it will float. Let's start out with our rock. Look at this rock. If you were to cut open the rock, what would you see on the inside? You would see more of the rock, right? So think about that. If we were to cut it open, it's not empty on the inside, it has more rock in it. So let's see what happens if I put it in the water. Oh, what did it do? It went right down to the bottom, right? So a rock sinks in water. Let's look at our sponge. A sponge soaks up water, right? You use it to clean dishes, maybe to clean your walls and the baseboards. But a sponge is very special because look at it. See all the little holes in it? It makes it very light and airy, and it can soak up water. So do you think the sponge will sink or will it float? Show me with your arms. Will the sponge sink or will it float? Let's see if you're right. What is it doing? You see the rock is down here, but the sponge is up here. So a sponge floats in water. That is because, see, look, it can soak up the water, it has little holes in it, so it is not as dense as the water. We talked about weight, if something is heavier or lighter, but density is a little different. If something is very dense, it's going to be like the rock. If you cut it open, you see more of the rock in it. But with the sponge, it's got lots of holes and stuff in it. Or think of a boat. Boats are heavy and big, right? But they're empty or hollow on the inside. So a boat isn't very dense, which is why it can float on the water. So let's look at something else. I have an empty water bottle. Remember, we just learned about density, right? If something is dense. Is there anything on the inside of this water bottle? No, there's not, right? So remember, if something is hollow or empty on the inside, will it float or will it sink? What do you think? Let's look and see. It floats. Our empty water bottle floats. It can float because it is hollow or empty. It is not as dense as the water. It has low density. Let's look at our egg. Is an egg empty on the inside? No, it's not, right? Because if you were to crack it open, you can make yourself some scrambled eggs, right? So what do you think? If the egg is not empty on the inside, will it float or will it sink? Let's look. Oh, did you see? It went all the way down to the bottom. So an egg sinks in water. It is because an egg is more dense, it has more density than the water. Good. I have two more objects for us to look at. I have a tennis ball and a penny. Now, if we were to weigh these two, which one would weigh more? The penny or the ball? You're right, the ball weighs more. So if we were to put it on a scale, the scale would go whoop, like this. But there's something special about a tennis ball. It is hollow. It is empty on the inside, which is what makes it bounce. But is a penny hollow or empty? No, it's not. It's very thin and small, but it's not hollow. So which one will float? Will the tennis ball float or will the penny float? Which one do you think? Let's see. Let's start out with the penny. Oh, did the penny float? No, it didn't. A penny sinks in water. It goes right down to the bottom because it has more density. Now let's see about our tennis ball. Oh, did the tennis ball sink? No, the tennis ball floats on the water. So because the tennis ball is hollow on the inside, it can float because it is less dense than the water. Good job. That is a super hard science experiment, but you were able to figure it out and help me find which objects would float and which ones would sink. Great job. And maybe you can do this science experiment at home. You can find different things in your house and see what will sink or float. Remember, if something's empty on the inside, it can float or sit on top of the water. But if it's got stuff on the inside and it's dense, then it will sink. So see what you can find in your house that is dense and then not so dense. And you can do your own floating experiment.